a video, but that is because I had some computer problems. Obviously, I don't have a webcam or anything set up yet, but I did want to get this video in because last weekend was Salt Lake City Regionals, and I'm going to cover my dear friend's deck, the highest placing Zoroark at the event, 29th place, I believe, Kevin Kenny. So a little bit about this before we get into it. Vegas here, we don't have like a super big community, but we do like to work on decks together. And Zach Everest, Kevin Kenny, Alex Cervantes, a bunch of us worked on Zoroark together. Okay, not me, I guess. I was there, but I didn't work on it. I don't give myself credit for that. But they worked on it a lot. They were play testing. Kevin got some coaching from Pablo Mesa. Go give him a follow. And while Zach and Kevin did both make day 2, they took different takes on the list. Zach had a more traditional just 4 double turbo. We accept our losses, which you kind of have to do in this format, and that's okay. Unfortunately, day 2, he did hit a couple Miltanks. I heard he hit a Lost Zone deck that played a Miltank that ended up decking him out because they dropped the Miltank out of nowhere. Which is kind of one of those things. Obviously, you got to make the choices for these big tournaments. You cannot prepare for everything, and sometimes you do have to accept losses. I will add a quick note that Zach did say if you are playing a more traditional list with 4 double turbo, play a Punkaboo, because he had a few games where Marnie Path was like, that's crazy, I'm going to end your whole career, and given the amount of search you do have in your list, it is going to be beneficial to play the Punkaboo to get back in the game. So that being said, let's take a look at Kevin's list here. 29th place, 711 in day 1. He was on stream. I will try and link his game below. You're going to want to watch it. He won a game with 3 double turbo prized and 2 Zoroark V-STAR, I believed, on stream. So I will get that for you in the description of the video, along with the deck list to copy and paste. Now, you cannot play it currently online because of gift energy being banned, but that's okay. Until then, you can practice without it, but we will talk about how insane it is. So, what is the purpose of Zoroark V-STAR? So we'll get into the deck list and find out. We do start with Zoroark V. Actually, it does have an attack for 0. 30, switch with 1 your bench. Shadow Cyclone sure does exist. 130, moving energy from this Pokemon to 1 your bench. Hopefully you don't have to do that. Avoid return. It's for 0, 30 switch. They're pretty good turn 1. We got Zoroark V-STAR. Alright, so Ticking Curse. For 2 colors, 50 times the amount of Pokemon that have damage in play that you have. So you got 6. That is 300. Double turbo will be 280. But you have stuff like Choice Belt to hit 310. And it's V-STAR power 1 a game, everybody. Discard your hand and draw 7. That sounds familiar, like it's on a couple other cards we've seen in Pokemon. That might be in this deck as well. So, crazy ability can get you out of there, especially if you don't have to use it early. I was playing Kevin, he had a Roxanne, he was like, wow, Phantom Star. I'm like, well, that was useless. But a card super efficient. I know when this card was revealed in Japan, a lot of people were like, oh, this is the end all be all, and it didn't quite work out, and it's not getting a lot of respect right now. But I think Kevin's result in this tournament might change that. So let's look at the rest of the Pokemon. You got the one Oranguru. This card just become more popular lately in a variety of decks. Once you get turn to make switch a card from your hand with the top card of deck, definitely helps Marnie proof yourself with maybe putting a stadium on top, but also helps as it combos with Zoroark's V-STAR ability, because sometimes you got to discard like 4 or 5 cards, and they're not cards you want to have to discard, so you can Primate Wisdom a card to the top of the deck and save it for after your ability. Let's say you got, your hand's like 2 cards, but you have the Ultra Ball you need, so you put it back on top, etc., etc., those kind of things. Or you attach your energy, and then you have another energy in your hand, don't want to discard that, so you put it back on top. Works for anything, pretty sweet. We got the true Crobat V. When you place a card from your hand on your bench, draw and save 6, can only use 1 a turn. Just helps power up. This deck is all about drawing your deck as fast as you can, and then setting up your board, and your opponent is just too pressured by what you have, and you get the dub. So then we got Radiant Hawlucha, 1 Radiant in your deck. As long as it's put on your bench, does 30 more to your opponent's active. Obviously, we're going to be helping against Mew and Cheren VMAXs to help you get those one-hit knockouts. The math checks out. It lets you hit the big numbers. Pretty sweet, and definitely I think the addition you want in this deck, as most other ones don't matter. You don't have enough energy for Greninja. And Gardevoir doesn't. What's going to knock you out is basically going to knock you out. And you need to one-hit KO them before they can you. We got Diancie, which combos with the basic Zoroark's attack. So this Pokemon's your active spot whenever your opponent plays a supporter from their hand. Prevent all effects done to your bench Pokemon. So that's basically boss's orders. To bring it up, so you attack with Zoroark, switch to Diancie. They cannot boss, which will allow you to set up a knockout with Zoroark next turn. Obviously, if they have Escape Rope boss, it is what it is. But if they don't, it's pretty good. And it does spike draw 20, draw 2 cards, which I did talk to Kevin, and he said it combos really well. We'll talk about more at the end of the video, how it comboed and what he did with it, but it's super effective. And to round out the rest of the non-Vs, we have 2 Gengar. Once you return of this Pokemon, then you just compile, put it on your bench, and put 3 damage counters on the Pokemon. Obviously combos with Zoroark, and you can't start with it, because it is not a basic. And if you do play Psychic Energy and other variants, put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So that's like up to, 10 damage counters. That is pretty good if you play Psychic Energy. So then, the rest of the Vs here. So we got Hisuian Decidueye V, search for up to 2 cards and put them in your hand. I mean, if you gotta do that turn 1, I guess worst comes to worst, that's pretty good. Like, it lets you set up and do a bunch of stuff. But its other attack is mainly what is in here. This attack isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active, aka Miltank. So Kevin, while he did not play against any Miltank, he definitely said, I'm not just going to take the loss to it, and this card definitely helps. And I believe he said also good against Blissey, I believe. That's what he was telling me too, because if you got the Choice Belt, you can hit 260. And if they don't have Cape of Toughness, that will be a knockout. But mostly for Miltank, because when Miltank's out, they're not really going to be attacking you, so you can Mountain Hunt for that double turbo, boom, and get attacking. We got Eldegoss V. So with all the discarding you're going to be doing, trying to set up, you're going to want to get supporters back. Happy Match. When you play this Pokemon from your hand on your bench, you may put a supporter from Disc Belt into your hand and float up for 50, which you can't attack with because it is 2 colorless. Put it back in your deck. So the reason it's just this over Palpad, I'm pretty sure is just like you can attack with it, you can just search for it. It's a reward immediately, because usually when you do it, you probably get your game-sealing supporter like Boss's Order or something like that. So I believe definitely good. And if you start with it, it is okay, because you do have the double turbo, and you can float up into Diancie. Super good. Really like the inclusion. This card should be super popular. Might be making a comeback. Who knows? And then we got Lumineon V. Obviously, search your deck for supporter when you play it. You cannot attack with it, but it is okay, because you just get the supporter you need, whether it's Boss's Order, Research, any other supporter in your deck. Super good card. Most likely I just recommend playing one of these anyway. It is very good. So let us hit up the trainers. You got 4 damage pump. Key, super key to this deck. Move up to 2 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to your other Pokemon any way you like. So let's say you put Gengar on your bench. When I have the Gapejaw Bog, which we'll talk about in a moment. But you damage pump, put damage, move 2 damage counters from your Gengar to your other thing, and you just added 100 damage to your Zoroark. Pretty good card. I watched Kevin do some like 17 million IQ plays. I was like, I didn't even think of that. That skill level is so high, but that is why I didn't play Zoroark, and he did, because his level of play was insane with that. When we were at the airport earlier today, I was playing him, and he just did like some, and I was like, I didn't even think of that. Stuff I didn't think of. So that card, while it may seem simple, definitely can help fix math on your Pokemon getting knocked out, kind of things, and can really mess up your opponent's strategy, because I know it definitely did me. We got the one Escape Rope. Just gotta have a switch card. Each player switches. Pretty simple there, you know. Just one of those switch cards to get things out of the active. Nothing fancy. We got the Evolution Incense. Obviously, get an Evolution Pokemon, which can get Gengar or Zoroark. We got the Ordinary Rod. So while you do have basic energy, sometimes also with your a million discarding cards, you're going to need Pokemon back, and that is okay. Help you recycle. Pretty generic. We got 4 Quick Ball and 4 Ultra Ball. You just dig. You're digging, discard those Gengars, get through your deck faster, profit faster, win faster. Then we got the stadium, the deck Gapejaw Bog, your key stadium. Whenever either player puts a basic Pokemon from their hand on their bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Obviously, it helps you the most. Boom, play, 50 more damage. Boom, 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 50 more damage. Adds on. And if your opponent cannot get rid of it, They'll also take 20 when they play cards from their hand, and that could be huge. Oh, you drop that Palkia V that has 20 now. Oh, drop that Mew that has 20. You know, like, oh, that's crazy. Definitely help your math later. So you may not have to have the full 6 Pokemon with damage, you know, if stuff goes wrong and things like that. Huge underrated stadium, actually, and it's just like annoying to stare at because like some stadiums, you play the training card, whatever, I'll use it, I'll do things, not worried about it. But you got to get rid of Gapejaw Bog super fast, or things will go bad for you. So let's go to supporters here. We got the 3 bosses orders. This deck is just gas, gas, gas. So you want to boss orders fast as you can there. We got 3 Marnie. Disruption is still nice. You can Marnie your opponent, and then Zoroark VSTAR ability. Boom. Then you're so far ahead, it's actually pretty crazy. We got the 3 research. Discard your hand, draw 7. Obviously, pretty good card, especially with this where you're digging. So really good choice. We got 1 Roxanne. So Kevin did say he's on the Roxanne as a lie train. So that's just a personal opinion people have. Some people love Roxanne. Some people think this is dumb. That is all I need if you want to take it out. Or keep it. He said he might want a second copy of Cheren's Care. Put 1 of your colorless Pokemon that has any damage cards on it and all cards attached to your hand. I believe this card is really good against like Lost Box kind of things if they try to weaken something with Cramorant, or like you're playing against Blissey that can't really ramp up in one hit. Even Arceus can't one hit you. So you're just like, I'll attack. You hit me for 180. I'm going to pick it up, bring up a new Zoroark, put it down, take 20 with the Bog or the Pump, and just knock you out in return. This card's been underrated, I think, since it came out. It's really only seen play in Arceus because that was kind of the colorless deck around. But you got Blissey, and you got this deck, and I think it really shines here because your Zoroark takes 2 colorless to attack. So it's boom, you're back in. Like, you don't have to waste any time. You don't have to hope you have another thing. You pick it up, boom, we're back in the game. So we did 1-2, but dropping Roxanne is kind of like a personal preference thing. If you think it's a lie, it's a lie. If not, you know, keep it in your deck. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer on that. That is just how you feel. Then we got the 2 Air Balloon. Obviously, you got a lot of Pokemon you don't want active, so definitely good to include. So we did have 3 Choice Belts. So we had a lot of discussion between the group because I asked a couple questions about the deck on why it was 3, and he was kind of saying, well, with you having to discard the way you do sometimes, like if you have to Choice Belt but you don't have a Zoroark out yet and you have to discard it, he definitely said it helped in adding more damage and later by having more outs to it. So if you do have to discard a 1 in the beginning, you're not, oh no, so you're just bound to like the regular 2 that most decks would play. So he's definitely not 4, but 3 feels like the sweet spot for the number based on your discarding. And if you don't have like a Oranguru to save one, the more I thought about it, I agree with that. And I think the 3 Choice Belt is pretty clutch in this particular deck. I don't think that's something a lot of decks are going to do, because not all decks want to like can draw 23 cards or what, you know, like on turn 2, you know, go crazy thing unless you're like Lost Box and see them. But even then, you don't worry about Choice Belt. So 3 definitely seems like a great number. So we're going to move the energy. Obviously, we got the 4 Double Turbo, pretty self-explanatory. 2 fightings for your Decidueye, I guess Diancie. But then we got the gift energy. So Kevin definitely added gift energy like the day before, night before, talking about it. Obviously, can't use it right now, but as soon as it gets unbanned, please go try this out. So as long as this card is attached, it provides colorless. If this Pokemon card is attached or is knocked out by damage, remember damage, not damage counters, drawing save of 7. So he told me like a couple moves he did was like he leave Diancie and he was able to pop the gift energy on it and spike draw 2, and they're like, oh, Marnie, but then they knocked him out, and then he drew to 7 anyway. So it's kind of like nothing happened. He also said like sometimes turn 1, you got to attach Zoroark, and it's okay to attach the 1 because you're attached to Double Turbo, and that way if they Roxanne to go to knock you out, you still have 7 cards. So he said sometimes you might have time to attach the gift, obviously, if you're just having to ramp up the Double Turbos, but definitely said this card was like the low-key pressure card on the opponent because it made him think about his move. You know, whoever he was playing against had to be like, oh, you know, if I'm Marnie, it has to be super beneficial for me because he's just going to draw a 7 again. And especially the Diancie thing, because he just said, yeah, there's one game I think, you know, I'll just left Diancie up there, and they didn't play Escape Rope, so they had to kill it. And then when they did, I was so set up, it wasn't crazy, and I was able to drop other Zoroarks. So especially like Diancie, since you can't evolve anything, your opponent's like, all right, I'll knock out Diancie. And Marnie, so they have a 4-card hand. But with gift, you're like, well, actually, I got 7/8 because I draw for turn, and I'm gonna be bopping you. So, with that being said, I say, Zach, We had Kevin, we had Wesley, we had Drew, who just moved, who does not live in Vegas anymore, but always be Vegas. We had a bunch of people make day 2 in Vegas. Very proud of everybody. When they had banned Gift Energy, this is the Zoroark list you need to try for sure. Because I know Kevin worked on it hard. Zach, everybody in Vegas who was playing it definitely put the work in, and it showed with everyone's performance. Personally, I'm super proud of everybody, and I'm excited to see how the rest of the season is going to take us. Who's going to get those invites? How many more day 2s we're going to be racking up, because we plan on getting them every event we go to. This has been the T-Table. That's Zoroark VSTAR. I'm Josh Hatter. Let me know below what you think of the deck, and I will see you guys next time.